there. You found us one more time on the last Thursday of August and our 104th 5 Minutes at the Frat House with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. This is kind of a strange show, Sidekick.
Yes, it is.
As it's our final, this is our final version of 5 Minutes at the Frat House. As next week will mark, incredibly, our second anniversary.
Yep.
And the beginning of our new formatted Frat House Sports Show. And really, it is incredible to believe that we've been doing this now for 2 straight years.
No breaks.
No breaks. Every single week we have been here with you for 104 straight weeks.
Yep. Haven't taken off holidays.
Nope. 105 coming at you next week with a new look, new format, Frat House Sports Show. And listen, to celebrate our second anniversary show, we appreciate the fact that the NFL has decided to kick off this year's season on that particular day. I know. They got in touch with us and they coordinated that. First games of the 2013 football season will be commencing next Thursday at this time when we, in fact, will be celebrating our second anniversary.
So let it be written.
And
so let it be done.
Introducing our very first Frat House Sports Show from the Hollywood Tavern in Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. So if you want to come out, if you're a regular viewer, you know where that is, and you want to come out there and celebrate our anniversary and our brand new show with us, be there around 6:30, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and you can catch us, get our autograph. We'll be there enjoying the time.
So you're saying that's the Hollywood Tavern?
The Hollywood Tavern
in Jenkintown.
In Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. You got it. There it is. That's right. That's right. And we'll be bringing that to you numerous times during the course of next week's show. You can bet.
Live.
Now, for tonight, though, we're going to...
Just one other thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank the NFL for being such a great partner.
I know. Isn't that terrific?
I mean,
I love it.
You know, our very first show
was on there.
They adjusted the football schedule to be on our first show. They adjusted the start of football to be on our first anniversary. Our second. I mean, I got to give it to them. They've really stepped up to the plate.
You couldn't ask for a better partner than the NFL.
Nope, not at all.
And Roger Goodell.
Wow.
There you go. For tonight, though, we're going to finish out our final edition of 5 Minutes of the Frat House and start it out as you've kind of become accustomed. And we're going to start it off with a bit of NASCAR news. With the 24th race of the season last Saturday night down at Bristol Motor Speedway. And Bristol certainly lived up to its reputation with 11 cautions and 16 lead changes. And just listen to some of these names and their finishing places. Are you ready, Sidekick? Carl Edwards finished 39th. Jimmy Johnson, 36th. Martin Truex, 35th. Kevin Harvick, 34th. Kurt Busch, 31st. Brad Keselowski, 30th. Denny Hamlin, 28th. All of them were behind Danica Patrick. So who the hell won this race? Well, how about Matt Kenseth, who led 149
I want winners.
500 laps and secured his league-leading 5th win of the season. He was followed by Casey Kane in 2nd. Juan Pablo Montoya got 3rd. Brian Vickers in 4th. And lo and behold, Joey Logano got 5th. Now, we've talked a lot for a number of weeks now how the intrigue on the leaderboard lies really below the top 5, which we're going to turn to you for analysis for in a second, Sidekick. But let's take a look at the top 5 real quick. Another bad weekend for Jimmy Johnson as he just continues to give points away.
Yep.
Albeit he's still in the number 1 spot, but just now 18 points ahead of Clint Bowyer with 2 races left. Despite less than stellar performances, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, as I just mentioned, Kyle Busch, also not a stellar performance. They all maintain their 3, 4, and 5 spots. Okay. Couple of developing stories, though, below. All right, what do you got for us below the 5?
All right. Well, let's talk about wild cards because that's where this has been an exciting season when it comes to the wild cards and the bottom half of this the standings here. Our current wild cards, as of this week, subject to possibly change this weekend.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons.
Truex Jr. is in 14th. Newman is in 15th. All right. We've got Brad Keselowski, who's 4 points behind Joey Logano in 10th. Mm-hmm. Kurt Busch is 6 points below Joey Logano. And Gordon is 11 points behind Logano. So that represents your 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Yep.
Neither of those drivers have a win.
Right.
That's when you come now to 14th. You have Truex, and then you have Newman at 15. Then you've got an outside chance. You've got Jamie McMurray, who's 12 points behind Newman, and then you've got Paul Menard, who's 21 points behind Newman. Both of those are an outside chance, but if they get a win, if either of those two can get a win over the next 2 weeks, that could possibly catapult them ahead.
Changes the whole chemistry
of Truex and Newman.
But ideally, I think you have identified the major players.
Yes.
Leaving Menard out and leaving out, who else did you just mention was down there with Menard?
Oh, Jamie Mack.
Yeah, I think you've identified the major players that really they're going to have an impact. Make no mistake about it. As we go through the last few races, they're going to have an impact.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of other developing stories, and one of them we're going to come back to because it's a developing story. I think that it potentially will have an impact on what you've just talked about there with the wild cards. But let's talk real quick about some of the player movement that we've seen just this week, and in fact, breaking just even before we went to air here, breaking around NASCAR with some other characters involved. The big one, though, was Kurt Busch. Signed a multi-year contract with Stewart-Haas Racing.
Oh, yes.
Now, this, obviously fills the void of Ryan Newman, who it was announced, 2 weeks ago, would not be retained on the team for next season. And we discussed that 2 weeks ago, as I pointed out. Furniture Row, who Busch really drove very, very well for this past season, incredibly well. Well, they indicated after the fact that they were prepared to offer Kurt a multi-year extension. We find out he's going over to Stewart-Haas. The relationship between he and Stewart has never been very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, does this come as any big surprise here? It certainly kind of came as a shock to me.
Right. Well, I do want to, one thing, you were saying that, Busch replacing Newman. I think it actually more accurately would be that Harvick replaced Newman. This is actually an expansion of the three-car team to a fourth car.
Okay, all right.
And that, but I think this fourth team coming in means the honeymoon is over at Stewart-Haas Racing, because this was just announced, and I've got some great bits that from this story. So Gene Haas, one half of the owner of Stewart-Haas Racing, owner of Haas Automation, has entered into brought Kyle Busch in, Kurt Busch.
Yeah.
And Haas Automation will be sponsoring Kurt Busch's ride. All the announcement was made by Gene Haas.
Right,
We
as
also
you can
see
see.
Greg
Right.
Zipadelli here. All right. Now, some great comments. Let me find them here real quick. Okay. When Haas was asked this week why he would, choose Kurt Busch over Newman,
right,
he said, Ryan's been an excellent driver. He's been going with us for 5 years now. I think he's done a great job driving the car. I think he's been a great sponsor driver. He's done well at all of that. But he goes on to say, after 5 years, I just feel that I want to take hold of an opportunity that was presented to me. It gives me a chance to, be a sponsor and direct things the way I wanted to direct them.
Yeah, has there been any comment from Tony Stewart on any of this?
Well, actually, if you remember, in July at New Hampshire, Tony said, when they were talking about parting ways with Newman, that, he said the team wasn't ready for a fourth car at the time.
Wow.
But should they add one in the future, Newman's name would be on the list of potential drivers. Ryan Newman had this comment this week after it was announced that Kurt Busch was the new driver,
Right.
or the fourth driver.
Right.
If they didn't tell Stewart why would they tell me? Newman said. So, and apparently, there was, as Gene said, the announcement was met with surprise and a little bit of resistance from his fellow co-owner, Tony Stewart.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, boy. As the tire turns here, folks,
so,
the drama continues. I'm telling you, I read a,
There's
very
something
similar,
screwy around
the exact
here.
article, but very similar. I read another article on one of the NASCAR websites that I subscribe to, that there was a lot of speculation. Why was Tony Stewart not present? Why was there no representation? Why has there been no comment? And of course, everybody's antenna is up at this point right now. It's a very interesting situation.
I suspect that Gene Haas was taking advantage of, or is taking advantage of the fact that Tony's got the broken leg and is out of the picture.
But you can't do that. This is one of the.
Well, if Tony was at the track every week and was racing and doing everything, I don't know if you necessarily would have seen.
We've seen Tony's anger. He'll kick his ass.
That's why.
What we got here
When they say
is a
a little
failure
bit of
to
resistance,
communicate.
knowing Tony Stewart,
All right, real quick, since you brought up Newman, what about Ryan Newman? Could we possibly see him swapping rides now and becoming the new Furniture Row 78 driver?
Well, Newman said that things are actually coming together for his 2014 ride and expects to announce his plans soon.
Well, what do you think? Does it seem a likely place?
I think it's as good as any other place.
I would agree.
I mean, but we also know that there's some other spots that have dried up
Right.
as far as drivers.
Right.
I don't know if you want to.
Go ahead, jump into them.
if
Yeah,
you wanna get
we got into a
So
couple of them.
we found out today that AJ Allmendinger
will
be going to the number 47 for JTG Racing, replacing Bobby Labonte.
Right.
Bobby Labonte, we found out yesterday, broke his ribs and will not be racing at least this week. Mike Bliss will be filling in for him. We also found out that Phoenix Racing has a new owner. We kind of knew that there was already somebody lined up and an owner. That owner now has been announced, and for 2014, Allgaier, the nationwide driver, will be taking full time over for the Phoenix Racing in Sprint Cup.
Right.
And I'm sorry, one
One
forgot.
other, yeah, that hasn't been announced, right?
Right. Supposedly to be announced tomorrow.
Right.
From Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, Kyle Larson will be taking over Juan Pablo Montoya's ride.
Which I think is great for him, albeit a little bit surprising, as I pointed out. This is only his first year in Nationwide.
Yeah.
So I think it's I'm pleased, but at the same time,
this almost sounds like a Joey Logano experiment.
yeah, I agree. Real quick.
And Juan Pablo Montoya is still out there, and we don't quite know what's going on.
The rumor has been we might see him back in Indy, so we'll see where that goes. But real quick, the other biggie story, which goes back to your leaderboard, and particularly the wild card issues. The broken wrist sustained by Martin Truex Jr. In this wreck on Saturday night's race at Bristol. As pointed out, he holds one of the two wild card positions at this point. Now, apparently, he is going to be casted in what is, I think, what I read is kind of like a flexible cast, which will be suitable for him to be able to deal with the steering wheel and racing. Could be an issue, though. Yes.
Well, this is actually one of Martin Truex Jr.'s better tracks to race at. Luckily, I think of the two races left before the chase, Richmond's going to be the problematic. The short track is going to be more of an issue for him than Atlanta, because Atlanta is a cookie cutter.
Mile and a half, too.
Yeah, it's a cookie cutter.
Right.
It's a cookie cutter course.
Right.
Having said that, though, I think he's in serious jeopardy.
The timing
I've
here
heard,
couldn't be worse.
I've read some analysis that said, look, the break that he had isn't that bad.
Right.
You know, he's got this cast. It's not really, you know, he's on the intermediate track. But I don't know, man.
And the timing,
I've got my suspicions
the timing
about
couldn't be worse, honestly.
you know, how
really.
well he's going to be running there.
Yep.
You know, if you know, he's not a crash hazard.
Yeah.
You know, he could run into issues and wind up.
I mean, when he got out of the wrecked vehicle last week, he was shaking his wrist. It didn't look that bad at the time. I think a lot of us were kind of taken back a bit 2 days later when we heard it was actually a broken wrist, because it didn't appear that way initially. But, you know, as we know in things like this, it can...
Well, it's listed as a sprain and a fracture.
Right.
So what I suspect it is he sprained his wrist, and it's got a small fracture in it. It's not broken per se,
right.
like you would imagine a
snapped
broke. Right. He's got, you know, he's probably got a fracture, you know, a hairline fracture in the bone.
Right.
So there's going to be some discomfort there.
Sure.
So it's not a clean break on that. But, you know, basically, you know, what happened was you get in the accident, and you've seen sometimes the video of this. We've seen pictures of Danica
the wrists
with, you know, as soon as you get, you know, either get into a wreck or you lose control of the car, you see the drivers put their hands up like this and take their hands off.
Right.
Because the way the car whips around that steering wheel, it'll snap your wrists.
Yep.
With that wheel spinning back and forth. So that's why you see, you know, you'll see the drivers put their hands up like this. And he just, you know, he held on too long, basically, and, you know, and that's probably how he hurt his wrist.
All right. Well, as you mentioned, we go from short tracking last week to the 1.5 mile at Atlanta Motor Speedway, which can be seen now Sunday night. Keep that in mind, folks. Sunday night, a little unusual timing, beginning at 7:30 on ESPN. Now, just 2 races remaining. You just mentioned about Martin Truex. He's a fairly good racer here. Who else you got for us when it comes to fantasy?
All right, fantasy, quick and dirty this week.
Yep.
Let's see, we're going to start off Kevin Harvick. 6 top 10s in his last 10 races.
Okay.
$28. Last year's champion, Brad Keselowski, finished 3rd in this race last year. $25.
And he's desperate.
Yes. He's going to... Actually, some of the names we were talking about earlier are on this list. Brad's the first one. Jeff Gordon won here in 2011. 2nd place last year behind Denny Hamlin. 24-25. Again, he's hungry. Needs to, you know, these two guys are going to be, you know, they're going to be racing.
Yep.
To try and get that spot. Somebody we also just talked about, Mr. Jet Dryer himself, Juan Pablo Montoya. He's got 4 top 10s here and 6 top 10s so far this year, and has actually been on a little bit of a good run since they announced that he was leaving.
You're right.
So, you know, a little of that Colombian anger coming out, you know. 1875.
Okay.
And then my lucky dog goes to Mike Bliss, who's filling in for Bobby Labonte, 325. That takes our roster to 99.25.
Hopefully he doesn't park.
Not in Labonte's ride. I don't think he's gonna. So, and that's fantasy for this week.
And now, 4 minutes of football.
There it is. And listen, we got the last night of all the games right now. Final preseason games going right now at this point until we get going with the real stuff next week at this time. 2 weeks ago, I was asking, who might be the leader in the AFC East. No chance at this point right now. It appears it might be the Buffalo Bills. Kevin Kolb the other day went down with an apparent concussion in their preseason game against the Redskins. It didn't look all that severe, and yet the word afterward was the 29-year-old quarterback. It might be career-threatening at this point. Rookie QB E.J. Manuel still a big question mark for opening day. Would you have expected that hit to be career-ending?
Well, all I got to say is na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye. We've got McNabb out of the NFL. Now we just need Cobb out of the NFL.
Oh, my goodness.
And all of Andy Reid's premier quarterbacks
What is this?
are going to be done.
What is this? A Sidekick's personal plot against
quarterback.
Eagles quarterbacks.
So,
Listen,
enter Matt Leinart.
let me stay in the AFC East for a moment. And in fact, all the stories we got about are the AFC East. Really, apparently, Jets starting QB Mark Sanchez. When I say apparently, he was the apparent starter. Went down with what appeared to be a fairly serious shoulder injury after Rex Ryan had him playing the fourth quarter behind a third-string offensive line. Ryan did not handle things too well in the post-game presser. Question for you. Should Ryan have been fired right then and there for being a bonehead or what? The New York media is exploding with this story and have been all week long. What's your take on this?
Rex. No, I don't think he should be fired. I mean, come on, it's only the preseason. I understand it's a completely boneheaded move to put your starting QB in the fourth quarter to try to win a game that doesn't mean beans.
He's standing up there telling people that, we got to win. We're trying to win. It's the freaking fourth quarter of the third preseason game. Who the hell
Who
cares?
cares about some MetLife trophy?
Well, thank you very much.
But, no, I don't think he should be fired.
I think it's
But
a fireable offense.
having said that, though, I don't know if he makes it through the season.
Oh, well, no. I
You know, it's the last year of his contract.
I might agree with you. I
don't see
might
him making it
agree with
through.
you. Questions now abounding. We don't know who's going to be the starter over there. Geno Smith, McElroy, who knows? Scary
Bring
stuff
back
here.
Brett Favre.
Scary stuff here. Don't say that too loud. Brett will want to be. Scary stuff here as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers currently have two players right now dealing with the highly dangerous and very contagious MRSA staph infections. New England Patriots went to the extent of having their entire training facility, which was visited earlier in the preseason by the Bucs team, professionally sanitized. Quick work by the Patriots in addressing the situation. A little bit unnerving, though, for sure, huh? I mean, you know, we've heard about this kind of stuff with, particularly in wrestling, with the mats and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And now you got
Even in jiu-jitsu, MMA, and stuff
there
like
you go.
that.
Yeah,
hear
you know about it.
right?
Yeah. And now we've got this kind of stuff potentially affecting NFL teams. Very kind of a little bit unnerving.
Well, I heard that the Patriots brought in the second coming, Tim Tebow, to bless the facility.
Oh, is that what it was? He was throwing holy
blessed,
water?
He blessed the
threw
facility.
Holy water
Yes, he
all
did.
around the place.
Yep.
Did that clean it up? We'll have to wait and see. Huh? All right, there you go. How did we do that one? We managed to actually get one right in there.
Yeah,
for
no
me.
kidding.
Can't believe it. You got to know it's the last episode of 5 Minutes at the Frat House.
It's because we brought Team Tebow in.
Not a disaster
You know,
after all,
Rock,
is
he
it
sure
now?
got some funny ideas about fun.
All right, listen. One more football-related issue I felt was important to raise. And that was a ruling, I guess it was yesterday, by the NCAA against Texas A&M's QB. I was going to use a name, but I won't. Johnny Manziel.
Jackwagon?
Yeah, there you go. Who was being investigated for being paid for autographed memorabilia. And I'm not just talking like a few here, folks. We're talking hundreds of flat photographs and mini helmets during the weekend of the BCS championship game this past January. All done in the dead of night in secret hotel rooms, all in a rather clandestine manner, which only proves that Manziel was absolutely negligent and in collusion, knew exactly what he was doing was absolutely wrong and that it was an NCAA violation. Allegedly, Manziel received cash payments somewhere between, we're not talking a couple of $100s, how about between 4 and 5 figures? For this, the NCAA has suspended Manziel for exactly, are you ready? 1/2 of a game. That's 2 quarters of a game. The first one of the season against the underdog, underdog Rice. Really? Seriously? To juxtapose the incongruity of this, I remind everyone 3 years ago, Georgia wide receiver A.J. Green was suspended 4 games by the NCAA for selling his Independence Bowl jersey for $1,000. This is a stinking disgrace, and once again shows the lack of integrity steeped deep in the operational philosophy of the NCAA. It is no wonder that so many college presidents and big-time universities are talking about getting away from this organization. It's about time that they all move away. This is a disgrace.
Are you jackwagon?
Exactly. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about Johnny Football. I think it was a mistake to give him the Heisman Trophy.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, the guy, you know, he's sitting there at all these frat parties. He's doing, I will be glad when he goes away. I can't wait for him to come in the NFL, get 3 concussions, and get out of the NFL.
I am almost hoping that for some reason or another, this kid comes out and he has to get drafted early, like next year, and somebody just takes his freaking head off. That's number one. But number two, the worst part of it is the behavior of the NCAA and the discrepancy upon which this entire organization operates. That is really the worst part of it. All right, before we jump off of football, let's take a look at our Frat House Sports Facebook post of the week, which was the meltdown post-game press conference conducted by New York Jets head coach Rex Ryan that I posted with the comment, you think New York Jets head coach Rex Ryan might be a bit stressed? Well, that post got hundreds and hundreds of views. Keep those coming, folks, particularly as we move forward and all kinds of new things are coming. All right? All right, real quick, let's take a look at our Major League divisions in baseball over in the American League. Real quick, I'm going to run through these because they really haven't changed, I know, much. Boston Red Sox, 2.5 games ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays in the Central. Detroit Tigers, 5.5 games ahead of the Cleveland Indians. And in the West, Texas Rangers, 2.5 games in front of the Oakland A's. Your wild cards at this moment right now are the Tampa Bay Rays and the Oakland A's. Cleveland Indians and Baltimore Orioles still can make some noise. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves, 13 games in front of the Washington Nationals.
The Nationals are coming back. I'm telling you, watch for them.
Oh, please.
They're coming back.
Please.
They've gained 2 games in the last week. Watch for the Nationals.
At that rate, the season will be over before they get anywhere. In the Central, the St. Louis Cardinals are now a half game in front of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in the West, the LA Dodgers, 9.5 games in front of the Diamondbacks. In the wild card of the week, your teams du jour, how about the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds? Watch, that'll turn out to be St. Louis next week, and we'll just keep going back and forth. Alrighty, there you go.
It's time again for Frat House Mike's Screwball Stories.
Alright, well now we're keeping it light and bright with some of the most incredible stories of the week. I gotta kick it off with the Houston Astros, and you're saying, screwy? What's screwy about this? Well, yes, we know. They're the worst team in Major League Baseball with a 44-88 record. On their current pace, they will achieve that dubious achievement, that dubious honor, for the 3rd straight year in a row. Congratulations to the Houston Astros for being the worst team in baseball 3 years in a row. Worst? Depends on your perspective. Simultaneously,
What is that? It's a major award.
Yes, Forbes magazine right now reported that the Astros are on pace to become the most profitable franchise in the history of Major League Baseball, with a season-ending projection of $99 million in income. Now, to bring this into perspective, $99 million is as much as the operating income of the previous 6 World Series championship teams combined. To bring this into perspective, the Astros' total team payroll obligation for this season is just over half of what the Philadelphia Phillies are paying just Ryan Howard. The team will pay out $13 million in payroll. The Phils are paying Howard $25 million for 1 year.
Hey, Marlins, take notes, you jackwagons.
Now, the Astros have denied these reports that were made in the article. But look, folks, I don't know. I mean, I understand it's, the 21st century, but really, this is Forbes that's reporting this, not People Magazine. I got a question.
It's really Moneyball.
I got a question. I mean, is this immoral? For the fans of Houston, is this immoral?
I don't know if it's necessarily immoral.
Oh. You're not going to
It's a business
You're going to rip the fan base off for a product that is obviously inferior and we don't give a damn about. I think it's immoral. That's personal. But it's a rhetorical question. I throw it out there.
But apparently the fans are buying it.
Okay. So, in other words, the fans are dumbasses.
Well, I don't know if I'd call Houston fans.
I'm not going to get into all that.
I think Houston fans need to take one from the Marlins fans and begin to do something about it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, you can look at it from the other standpoint. You're looking at Miami and Houston, and that Houston fans, regardless of how bad their team are
obviously supporting the team.
Are lock, stock, and barrel behind their team.
But their team is doing nothing to make their product any better, and it's obvious. And all they're doing is they're taking home the cash cow while the fans are putting the money in their pocket.
Yep.
All righty. Let's go take a look at another abysmal team, and that's the New York Mets. Currently in fourth place in the NL East at 60-72. I don't have much for the talk, I know.
I was going to say, you guys got beat like 11-4 today by the Mets.
You buy the Mets, too. And listen, at 60-72, obviously it's time for them to make some moves. So just before the waiver deadline approached, on Tuesday, the Mets made a deal with playoff-bound Pittsburgh Pirates, sending John Buck and journeyman outfielder Marlon Byrd to the Buccos. Byrd has actually had a fairly good season this year. 21 home runs, 74 RBIs, and a .285 batting average. So to me, that sounds like the perfect day to make sure that all the Mets fans come into Citi Field that day, get their Marlon Byrd t-shirt. Seems appropriate to me. It said, let it fly.
Well, they took one out of the Phillies book. Let's celebrate Charlie Manuel's 1,000th game by firing him before the game.
Yeah, what's worse?
What it is.
What's worse? The Charlie Manuel thing is much worse. Because obviously the Marlon Byrd t-shirts were in the works for a while, and nobody knew that he was actually going to be traded. But the Charlie Manuel thing could have been avoided altogether.
Yeah,
that only happened on Monday, but he was fired on Friday.
Yeah, let's not go there.
I hear you.
Hence, we'll have more little.
I got you.
Bleeps and.
All righty, now
sidekick getting censored.
With
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Manny Ramirez off of our radar, well, at least for the moment. LA Dodgers freshman superstar Yasiel Puig, well, he may be vying to take over that spot on the Frat House Sports Hot Watch. We talked about some of Puig's recent travails last week, and here we are. We're closing up shop tonight with some more. Yesterday, Puig was abruptly removed, now mind you, and benched during the 5th inning of the game. The only official reason given was it was, quote-unquote, a manager's decision. It was later confirmed that it was a disciplinary action, which Puig himself confirmed, saying that Mattingly removed him because it was obvious he was not ready defensively on every pitch. Word of the wise, please. Yasiel, keep it up, please. Keep it up. We need somebody to take Manny's place. Keep that going. We like that stuff.
Yep.
We will start the what?
On next week, it's going to be the Puig party.
Puig Patrol, Puig Police. Listen, send us your comments. Post it on our Frat House Facebook page. What do we call it? Whatever it is, it's a mouthful.
I think it's the Puig party.
All righty, there's our 104th and final episode of 5 Minutes at the Frat House. And before we close it out, hey, we're not losing our partnership with CLW83.com. No, they're going to continue to follow us as we go through and become Frat House Sports as well. CLW83.com. Make sure you go over there. Check out the terrific programming put together by our buddies Jim and Carl over there. And you'll be seeing a lot more of us over there as the new show starts to roll out next week. And also, Frat House Sports, be sure you're following us, frathousesports.net. You're going to see a whole new look to this sort of thing come next week as well, when we enter our 3rd year and celebrate our 2nd anniversary.
And you could, by the end of the season, see us coaching the New York Jets.
It's very, very possible. We couldn't do any worse.
You know, we were talking it up last year.
Yeah.
We were going to take over the Eagles, so that didn't happen. Unfortunately, they got this nobody Chip Kelly guy.
The Jets is a much bigger market anyhow. I think we'd get a hell of a lot more exposure up there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you picture the two of us? I think it'd be terrific.
Yeah, I guess with hindsight, maybe
We'll have to
should have
bring
done
Hard
that.
Knocks back for next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, get our little HBO special on. You know, and
All right.
so, and again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Thanks to the NFL for starting football on our anniversary. Great partner.
One last time for us from here. Yes.
Tune in next week when we come from the Hollywood Tavern
there you go.
in Jenkintown.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry. Now you go.
Well, you just took my whole tagline out.
My bad.
Alrighty, one
It's
last
been
time.
a disaster of a
One
show.
last time. One last time for 5 minutes at the disaster. No, 5 minutes at the Frat House. You know what you got to do for us. You got to keep us real. You got to keep us live. And you got to keep us going another 2 years. Listen, check us out next week at the Hollywood Tavern
In Jenkintown.
with our new Frat House Sports Show and the beginning of our 3rd year. See you then. Hey, could this possibly open up the Furniture Row 78 for Ryan Newman, who out Stuart Haas? Could they just basically swap rides?
I know what I wanted to tell you.
But-
Bernhard Canassi is going to announce tomorrow Kyle Larson is their new driver.
Yep.
I saw that today, and I
Yep.
forgot. Kyle Larson is going to be their full-time 42 driver next year. Yep. Kyle Larson. Full-time.
Yep.
It's not official yet, so I wouldn't say it, but
No.
it's going to be announced tomorrow.
Wow, this is his freshman year in Nationwide.
Yep.
Okay, now there was also, and I got it late.
If you
so
want to maybe tease
we can
And
tease
also-
we can tease some of this. But the other thing that I didn't get, I saw it, but I haven't read it. Who's Dinger going to? Because I think Dinger just got a ride today.
probably the 47 that Bobby Labonte drives. I heard that's why he was
You
driving.
didn't get that news?
I didn't hear anything about Dinger.
Oh yeah, that's
I'll check it while you're gone.
okay.
I'll
All right.
I'll get
Allgaier.
Yeah, I saw that.
Allgaier's going to 51 full-time.
Yep.
I saw that. All right, now the next slide I'm going to throw at you will be Martin Truex. All right. With the broken wrist with 2 races left before the chase. So we'll go to that. But any of this other stuff that we know, that I don't even have it scripted, but any of this other stuff that you want to throw in there, you know, any of this other news about driver movement, what have you.
Allmendinger gets a ride with JTG Racing next year. That's the 47 that Bobby Labonte drives now. Most of the